Everything you've ever understood as separation between the body and the mind, between science and spirit, between what is seen and what is felt is merely the surface of a vast and intricate ocean. Beneath that surface lies a silent force, dormant yet alive, pulsing through the very fabric of existence. Imagine it as a gentle hum beneath reality, a constant vibration present even in the deepest silence. This is what modern physics calls the zero-point field, a field of energy that exists in the very vacuum of space, vibrating even when everything appears to be still. It is not a theory from mystics or monks. It is a scientific discovery born in the heart of quantum physics, and it may hold the key to a deeper, richer kind of vitality that many of us, especially as we age, have unknowingly drifted away from. Let me take you into the laboratory where this began. When scientists began probing the tiniest particles, electrons, photons, quarks, they found something baffling. Even when all measurable energy was removed from a vacuum, there was still activity. The vacuum was not empty. It danced, pulsed. It shimmered with invisible life. This nothing contained something, contained energy. In fact, according to the foundational work of physicist Max Planck, the very father of quantum theory, there is no matter as such. All matter originates and exists only by virtue of a force. And that force, he claimed, is what he called conscious and intelligent mind. What he pointed to without perhaps fully realizing it was that energy and awareness are not separate. They are entangled. Now, you might be wondering, how does this relate to my everyday life? Why should I care about what vibrates in a vacuum billions of light years away? The truth is, this zero-point field isn't out there somewhere. It's here, right now, in your living room, in your breath, in your bones. It pulses in the space between your thoughts and in the silence after your words. This is not poetic speculation. In the last 2 decades, scientists like Dr. Hal Puthoff and Dr. Elizabeth Rauscher have shown that the zero-point field is not only omnipresent but interactive with living systems. In other words, it responds to us, and we, whether we know it or not, respond to it. Let me give you a practical image. Imagine yourself as a radio. When the dial is tuned properly, you receive clear, rich signals. But when you're misaligned, when your life is filled with noise, stress, unresolved grief, mental clutter, the signal becomes static. You feel tired after a full night's sleep. You drink coffee to feel alive. You walk through your day like a machine, functional but not vibrant. And you tell yourself, this is just aging. But what if it's not? What if it's not about growing old, but about growing disconnected? The aches you feel, the forgetfulness, the lack of drive, they may not be signs of decline. They may be signs of disconnection. Disconnection from your own energy source. Not the energy of youth, but the energy of presence, of inner stillness, of living in tune with something deeper than the 5 senses. This is not abstract. It is real, it is measurable, and it is within your reach. Science is now catching up to what ancient wisdom traditions have always taught, that the human being is more than muscle and mind. We are fields of energy. And when we learn to return to that state of inner harmony, that frequency of stillness, we tap into an energy that is limitless, not because it makes us superhuman, but because it restores us to what is most deeply human. So I invite you, not as a guru but as a fellow traveler, to begin noticing where you've lost the signal. Ask yourself, when did I stop feeling deeply alive? When did I begin measuring the day not by wonder, but by tasks? When did I begin waking up tired instead of grateful? You do not need to become someone new. You only need to remember what you are. Start with one practice. Sit in silence for just 5 minutes today. No phone, no television, no distraction. Just you and your breath. Just 5 minutes. Listen beneath the noise. Feel what stirs there. That subtle presence is the doorway. The door is already open. You simply have to walk through. If you've ever walked into a room and forgotten why, or stared out a window and wondered where your joy has gone, you're not alone. These moments are not simply signs of aging or forgetfulness. They are quiet signals. They whisper that you may have become disconnected from a deeper energy that once made life feel luminous. It's not that your spirit has dimmed. It's that your connection to the vital current that animates you has thinned. That current, in both scientific and spiritual terms, is real. It is the zero-point field, the most fundamental layer of reality, not mystical but physical, not theory but fact. According to quantum electrodynamics, even what we once thought of as empty space is actually filled with subtle fluctuations. In 1948, Dutch physicist Hendrik Casimir predicted what we now call the Casimir effect, proving that two uncharged plates in a vacuum would be drawn together by invisible forces, a measurable effect of the zero-point field. It is a reminder that energy doesn't begin where matter ends. It is the foundation of matter itself. Every atom in your body, every beat of your heart, every flicker of thought arises within this field. You are not outside of it. You are formed by it, breathing in it, existing through it. But how does this help you live more fully now? Let me offer a different way to see yourself. Picture your body not as a machine that wears down with age, but as a finely tuned instrument that simply needs recalibration. When a violin is out of tune, it doesn't mean it's broken. It means it needs presence, care, a touch of resonance. The same is true for you. Your vitality has not left you. It's simply waiting to be remembered. And reconnection begins not in the mind, but in sensation. The field is not accessed by thinking harder. It is accessed by becoming still enough to notice. Begin by observing your breath. Not changing it, just noticing it. With each breath, you are not merely taking in air. You are taking in the field. You are entering relationship with something deeper than words. This practice may seem simple, but it's supported by science. Research at the HeartMath Institute has shown that slow, intentional breathing can shift your heart's rhythm into a coherent pattern, which then influences brain activity, immune function, and emotional regulation. In other words, when you breathe with awareness, you shift your entire system into harmony. You don't just feel better, your biology reflects that change. And spiritually, the breath has always been sacred. In Sanskrit, the word for breath is prana, meaning life force. In Latin, spiritus, the root of spirit, also means breath. Perhaps these ancient languages knew what science is only now confirming, that the breath is a bridge. But it's not only breath that connects you back to the zero-point field. It's also what you feel. Elevated emotions like gratitude, compassion, and joy aren't just pleasant states. They're frequencies. Dr. Joe Dispenza, working at the intersection of neuroscience and quantum physics, has shown that these emotions can synchronize the brain and heart, aligning the body with deeper fields of energy. When you feel deeply thankful, not just in thought but in your cells, you are aligning with the frequency of coherence. It's not abstract. It's physical. And it's something you can cultivate daily. I know some of you may feel this is beyond your reach, or that it sounds good in theory but too far from daily life. But let me offer this: you already know how to reconnect. Every time you stop to appreciate the sunrise, every time you hold a grandchild and feel time pause, every time music moves you to tears, these are not distractions from real life. They are portals into it. They are glimpses into the field. And the more we honor them, the more alive we become. So I ask you now not to change everything overnight, but to begin with one small shift. Choose a moment today to pause and feel. Not think. Feel. Place your hand on your heart. Breathe slowly. Ask yourself gently, what do I feel right now? Don't judge it. Just listen. That simple act begins to realign you with the zero-point field. This is not spiritual escapism. It is energetic hygiene. It is the act of coming home to yourself again and again. And here's the promise. The more you practice this reconnection, the more vitality begins to return. Not in dramatic flashes, but in quiet ways. You'll notice deeper sleep, more clarity, touch more patience, a spark of joy where there was numbness. You'll begin to feel less like you're fighting life and more like you're flowing with it. Not because life has changed, but because you have reconnected to the source from which all change becomes possible. Remember this: your age does not define your access to energy. Your openness does. The zero-point field doesn't care if you are 25 or 75. It responds to presence, to awareness, to willingness. So start where you are. Right here. Right now. The energy is waiting. What would it feel like to wake up not simply rested, but deeply recharged? as if every cell in your body had remembered how to breathe again. Imagine starting your day not with a sigh of exhaustion or the familiar ache in your back, but with a quiet sense of power humming beneath the surface of your skin. This is not a fantasy. It is a biological, emotional, and energetic possibility. But to arrive there, we must first dismantle a long-standing myth that energy comes only from what we consume: food, sleep, supplements. While these are important, they are not the ultimate source. The most profound energy does not come from the outside in, but from the inside out. And that energy, rooted in the zero-point field, becomes accessible when we create space for it to rise. The desire to reconnect to that source is not spiritual longing. It is instinct. It is the body remembering its design. Every major wisdom tradition has pointed to this. And now, so does science. Recent studies in epigenetics, for instance, reveal that our internal states, what we think, feel, and believe, influence which of our genes are turned on or off. Dr. Bruce Lipton, a pioneer in this field, has shown that gene expression is not fixed. It is fluid, determined by the environment within us. That means that your attitude, your emotions, your level of connection all impact your biology in real time. If you are constantly stressed, your body enters a defensive mode. Your immune system lowers. Your clarity diminishes. But if you cultivate gratitude, presence, and coherence, your body switches to repair and rejuvenation. This is not philosophy. It is cellular science. And the bridge between the body's healing and your intention is desire, the deep inner commitment to remember the field within you and return to it with consistency. But desire must become practice. It must move from the heart into the hands, into the breath, into how you sit, how you eat, how you rest. Let's take the example of walking. Most people walk to get somewhere. But walking can be a form of energy alignment. Imagine walking slowly in nature, barefoot if possible, letting your body feel the ground again, without music, without distraction, just you and the earth. This is called grounding. Researchers have found that physical contact with the earth's surface through soil, grass, or sand can reduce inflammation, balance cortisol levels, and stabilize heart rhythms. Why? Because the earth itself is an electromagnetic field, and when we reconnect with it, we recalibrate our own field. You don't need equipment. You don't need a class. You only need your body, your breath, and the willingness to feel. Another powerful portal is emotion. Not just any emotion, but what I call high-frequency emotions. Love, joy, awe, gratitude. These are not sentimental luxuries. They are energetic languages. When you feel them deeply, your brain produces more serotonin and oxytocin. Your heart rate becomes more coherent. Your nervous system returns to balance. Dr. Roland McCready at the HeartMath Institute has studied the impact of gratitude on heart-brain coherence, showing how a few minutes a day of intentional appreciation can measurably shift your physiological state. So when you sit quietly and remember a moment that made you feel truly alive, maybe a wedding, the birth of your child, or simply the breeze on your face while sitting on a porch, you're not being nostalgic. You're activating energy. You're tuning your inner instrument. This is why spiritual practices across cultures, from indigenous rituals to Buddhist meditation, have always emphasized presence and emotion. Not because it's mystical, but because it is functional. And here is the invitation. Make your life a practice. Let your coffee become a ritual of presence. Let your morning shower become a baptism of intention. Let your words be laced with more softness and your eyes linger longer on beauty. You don't need to escape to a monastery. You need to return to your own life with reverence. Begin small. Today, after this talk, take a moment to pause. Feel your feet. Breathe slowly through your nose for 5 counts. Hold for 5, and exhale for 5. Do it 3 times. That is enough to change your state. Tomorrow, write down 3 things you're grateful for, not big things, but specific ones. The way the sun hit the table, the sound of someone's laughter, the warmth of your tea. These are not tricks. They are training. Training your system to become receptive again. Because the zero-point field is always there. But we must tune ourselves to it. And here is the deeper truth. You are not trying to become someone else. You are not trying to reach a goal. You are remembering what it feels like to be whole, to be fully alive. You are not broken. You are blocked. And blocks can be cleared with breath, with movement, with intention, with love. That is what desire truly means, not to long for something far away, but to return to what is already inside you, waiting to rise. So don't wait for a perfect moment. The moment is already perfect because you are in it. Begin now. Begin gently, but begin. You do not need to scale a mountain or join a monastery to access the deepest energies of life. In fact, the door is already open and the invitation is quiet but constant. The zero-point field, that subtle reservoir of energy that pulses beneath all matter, is not waiting for you to become someone different. It is waiting for you to become more yourself. The real work is not in doing more, but in clearing away what no longer serves. If you imagine your body and mind as a garden, then reconnecting to this field is not about adding more flowers, but pulling out the weeds, opening space for sunlight, water, and breath to reach the roots. And this clearing begins with presence. Presence is not a mystical state. It is a biological and energetic alignment. When you are truly present, your brain stops its constant scanning for danger. Your cortisol levels drop. Your heart rate stabilizes. Studies in neurophysiology show that even brief periods of present-moment awareness, especially when paired with slow, rhythmic breathing, can shift your nervous system into parasympathetic mode, also known as the body's healing state. This is not relaxation as luxury. It is presence as medicine. And presence is cultivated through simple practices, repeated with care. Let me begin with breath, because breath is the gateway. Conscious breathing is more than a wellness trend. It is your direct line to the energy field within and around you. Consider the work of Dr. Stephen Porges, whose polyvagal theory shows how slow, controlled breathing activates the vagus nerve, which in turn calms the heart, regulates emotions, and creates a sense of safety within the body. When you slow your breath and feel it, you send a signal not just to your lungs, but to your entire system, that you are safe and open to connection both with yourself and the world. So, try this. Sit upright, place a hand over your chest, and inhale slowly for 4 seconds, hold for 4, exhale for 6. Repeat this for 5 minutes. Do this daily, not as an emergency measure when stressed, but as a foundational practice, like brushing your teeth. You are tuning your system like an instrument. Next, bring your awareness to emotion, not to control it, but to elevate it. High-frequency emotions like gratitude, compassion, wonder have measurable energetic effects. Dr. David R. Hawkins, a psychiatrist and researcher, developed a map of consciousness based on frequency, showing that emotions such as fear and anger create contraction in the body, while love and peace generate expansion and coherence. And these states can be self-generated. For example, each morning, recall a moment you felt truly grateful. Visualize it. Feel it. Let it spread through your body like sunlight warming your skin. This is not sentimental. It is energetic conditioning. The field responds to your frequency, not your words. So speak to it in the language of your heart. Silence is another path, but not just external silence, inner silence. In our age of constant stimulation, stillness has become revolutionary. But it is in silence that the zero-point field speaks the loudest. Set aside 5 or 10 minutes each day to sit without goals. Don't try to meditate perfectly. Just sit. Let your thoughts come and go, like clouds passing through a sky you do not need to control. Neuroscientists have found that regular silence and meditation increase gray matter density in the hippocampus, the part of the brain responsible for memory, learning, and emotional regulation. Silence is not empty. It is full of signals, wisdom, and subtle recalibration. Allow it, and then engage your body. The body is not separate from the spirit. It is the gateway. Movement with intention like slow walking, tai chi, yoga, or even simply swaying to music helps clear energetic blockages. Remember, motion is emotion. When you move consciously, your lymph flows, your cells oxygenate, and your awareness returns to the present moment. A gentle 10-minute walk in nature, with your attention on the wind, the smells, the sounds of birds, is more powerful than hours of passive distraction. It realigns your frequency to the natural rhythms of the earth, which itself vibrates with a frequency of approximately 7.83 Hz, the Schumann resonance, the same frequency recorded in human brain waves during states of deep rest and connection. You are not separate from nature. You are nature remembering itself. Sound, too, is a carrier of healing. Vibrational therapy is no longer just spiritual speculation. Studies have shown that exposure to certain frequencies can alter brainwave states. Listening to binaural beats at 432 Hz or 528 Hz while in a relaxed state has been linked to decreased anxiety and increased focus. Mantras, especially those with ancient roots, such as OM, can harmonize the body's energy centers and bring the mind into stillness. Try humming softly, feeling the vibration in your chest, and let it spread through your body. This is not performance. It is resonance. You are syncing your internal rhythm with the universal pulse. Finally, return to the practice of gratitude not as an afterthought, but as a foundation. Take a small notebook and each evening before bed, write down 3 things you are grateful for that day. They can be as simple as, I felt warmth in my hands, or, I saw the moon tonight. The more specific, the more powerful. Over time, this practice rewires your brain. According to research at UC Davis by Dr. Robert Emmons, those who practice daily gratitude report better sleep, stronger immune function, and higher levels of happiness. Gratitude is not just emotion. It is energetic alignment. It tells the field, I am open, I am aware, I am participating. All of these practices are invitations, not obligations. Choose the one that calls to you most today. Begin there. Stay with it for a week. Watch how your body responds, how your thoughts soften, how life begins to feel less like a storm and more like a flow. You are not here to be drained by life. You are here to be nourished by it. The 0-point field is not a distant ideal. It is a living presence. You meet it in stillness, in movement, in breath, in feeling, in the quiet beauty of small rituals. Repetition is the key. Gentle, loving repetition. So today, choose to return to yourself not all at once, but moment by moment, breath by breath. The energy is waiting. All it needs is your willingness to receive. There comes a moment, often quiet and unannounced, when we realize that true transformation is not about becoming something new but returning to something timeless within us. It is not about reaching higher, but remembering deeper. The 0-point field, that silent reservoir of vitality and intelligence, is not a place to get to. It is a presence to return to, again and again, until the returning becomes your natural rhythm. This is where change becomes real, not because you force it, but because you flow with it. The key is consistency, not intensity. Think of a river that carves through stone. It does not do so with one great push, but through the gentle, persistent flow of water. Likewise, the practices that connect you to the 0-point field do not need to be dramatic. They need to be daily and simple. Let them become part of the way you breathe, the way you wake, the way you move through the world. Start your day not with a screen, but with a moment of stillness. Before you reach for the phone or turn on the news, place both feet on the ground and close your eyes. Breathe. Feel your body. Sense the space around you. This may take only 2 minutes, but those 2 minutes can shift the trajectory of your entire day. This practice signals to your brain and nervous system that presence matters. Research in behavioral neuroscience shows that our first actions upon waking have a disproportionate impact on brain chemistry. If your first input is reactive and external, your cortisol levels spike and your mind becomes scattered. But if your first input is internal and intentional, you prime your system for clarity, resilience, and flow. You are not just setting the tone for your morning. You are tuning the frequency of your field. Throughout the day, create pauses, conscious, gentle breaks in momentum that allow your energy to recalibrate. When you finish a task, instead of rushing to the next, pause for one full breath. Place a hand over your heart. Ask yourself softly, how do I feel right now? These micro-moments are not interruptions. They are recalibrations. Just as a musician pauses to tune their instrument before playing, you are tuning your own system so that your actions and words come from coherence, not reaction. This is where science meets presence. Studies in mindfulness-based stress reduction, pioneered by Dr. John Kabat-Zinn, show that even brief, mindful pauses can reduce blood pressure, lower inflammation markers, and improve emotional regulation. You are not wasting time by slowing down. You are recovering access to your own field of energy. In the evening, return to yourself again. The hours before sleep are sacred. They determine the quality of your rest and the tone of your subconscious mind. Rather than ending your day with scattered thoughts or overstimulation, create a ritual of completion. Sit in quiet for 5 minutes. Reflect on the day not with judgment, but with awareness. What felt aligned? Where did you feel disconnected? You are not looking for perfection. You are simply closing the loop. Neuroscience confirms that reflective practices before sleep enhance memory consolidation and emotional integration. You wake not just rested, but restored. And you begin to notice a shift not all at once, but gradually. You feel more present during conversations. Your reactions soften. You catch yourself breathing more deeply. And in moments where you would have once collapsed into fatigue or frustration, you instead feel a quiet center within you that holds. This is the work of remembering. Remembering that energy flows where attention goes. That your body is a vessel not just of biology but of intention. That your breath is a bridge. Your emotions are messengers. And your presence is a portal. You do not need to be perfect. You need to be consistent. One practice, done with sincerity, is worth more than 1,000 done in haste. Begin where you are. Make your bed with presence. Pour your tea with gratitude. Sit for 2 minutes in silence. Listen to a piece of music that stirs your soul. Write down one thing that brought you joy. This is not self-help. This is self-remembering. You are not separate from the field. You are a living expression of it. The more you align your daily rituals with that truth, the more life responds. You begin to notice synchronicities, moments of unlikely grace, doors opening, a sense that you are being met halfway by something larger. The ancients called this divine flow. Science calls it coherence. It is the same. It is the rhythm of alignment. And it becomes more available the more you honor it with your attention. So return. Return each morning, each evening, each breath. You are not here to fight against time. You are here to live in rhythm with it. You are not here to chase energy. You are here to remember you are energy. You are not waiting for a miracle. You are the miracle remembering its source. Begin again. Begin gently. And let the field meet you where you are.